There are only two kinds of beige envelopes that can ruin your day: one from the IRS and the other from the HOA. The IRS wants your money. The HOA wants your money, your pride, and your soul. That morning, I was staring at the ladder sitting on my countertop like a ticking bomb with Crestview Meadows Homeowners Association printed on it in lifeless gray font. I could already feel my blood pressure climbing. I looked down at my cat, General Toe, a fluffy orange beast with an expression that screamed, "Open it so you'll stop talking to me." So I did. Inside was a single crisp page. They always use the heavy paper when they're about to insult you. Official notice of violation. Fine, $100. Reason: unkempt and overgrown rose bushes in violation of Bylaw 7.4, aesthetic cohesion and landscape uniformity. I actually laughed, out loud. Then I walked to my window and looked at them. My wife Emily's rose bushes, wild, sprawling, defiant, overflowing with red blooms. They weren't unkempt, they were alive. She'd called them her rebellion bushes when we moved in 8 years ago. These, she said, covered in dirt, will remind me there's still color in this place. She was gone now, but those bushes were the only thing that still felt like her, and now the HOA wanted them turned into beige-approved meatballs. Then I saw her, Brenda Hernandez, HOA president. Beige pantsuit, beige clipboard, beige soul. She was walking her usual route, no patrolling, and when she spotted me in the window, she gave this little tut sound like she'd just caught me committing a felony against symmetry. I stepped outside. "Brenda," I said tightly. "Frank," she nodded, eyes on her clipboard. "You received the notice, I see." "I did," I said, "but unkempt. They're rose bushes, Brenda. They bloom. That's literally their job. They are non-compliant," she said in her clipped nasal tone, encroaching on the public sidewalk. "They lack definition. Definition, they're plants, not geometry." She didn't blink. "Crestview Meadows is a community of standards, Frank. Your neighbors have to look at this. Dave next door said he loves them. Janet said they remind her of her grandmother's garden. They're not on the architectural committee," she snapped. "You have 14 days to remediate. Trim them to 4 feet neat and uniform, or the fine doubles. And if you don't," she smiled, "we'll hire our own landscaper and charge you. They're very expensive." She made a note on her clipboard and walked off like a mall cop with divine authority. I stood there, shaking coffee, trembling in my hand. It wasn't the $100. It was the idea of someone trying to erase what Emily planted. I looked down at General Toe rubbing against my leg. "She wants to kill your mom's roses," I muttered. He blinked. "You're right. This means war." But first I tried to comply. I told myself I'd be reasonable, that maybe if I played along she'd back off. That was a mistake. I went to the hardware store, bought the gloves, the shears, even a book called Pruning for Dummies. I stood in the driveway, psyching myself up. "This is fine," I said aloud. "It's just a haircut, a very thorny haircut." 2 hours later, I looked like I'd gone 12 rounds with a cactus. My arms were bleeding, my shirt was torn, and the bushes looked like they'd been attacked by a weed whacker on tequila. Dave came out, beer in hand. "Frank," he said, squinting. "What happened? Deer got caught in a wood chipper I was remediating," I muttered. He winced. Brenda got you. Man, she fined me once because my mailbox leaned 3 degrees off-center. I had to reset it in concrete. He suggested I call Jim's Lawn and Order the HOA's approved landscaper. I did. Jim showed up all smiles and khakis. "Look," he said, circling the massacre. "This is a Rosa rugosa. It's supposed to look wild, but Brenda's neat means one thing: 2 identical 4-foot green balls." I swallowed hard. "You'd cut off every bloom?" "Yep, that's the standard." "Then no deal." He shrugged. "Suit yourself. But she's counting down your 14 days. The next morning, another beige envelope. Second notice. Failure to remediate. Total fine, $300. That night, I sat on the porch staring at the roses, the blood still visible on my arms. For the first time, I thought maybe she was right. Maybe I was being stubborn. Maybe HOA rules were just how things worked here. Emily's gone. Who was I trying to impress? I actually felt ashamed. But then Dave sat down beside me, handed me a beer, and said, "You gonna let her turn Emily's roses into meatballs, Frank?" I looked at the bushes again, scarred, messy, alive. No, I wasn't. Dave joked, "What's next? You gonna carve them into squares?" And that's when it hit me. "Carve them," I whispered, then louder. "Carve them." Dave frowned. "You okay, buddy?" "I'm perfect," I said, running inside. I spent the next hour online until I found a website buried on page 2 of Google Arturo's Arboreal Visions. The headline said, "I do not trim, I liberate." His gallery was insane dragons, unicorns, even a leafy Michelangelo's David. This guy didn't do landscaping. He did art. I called. Arturo Speaks came a smooth, unplaceable European accent. "Hi, my name's Frank. I found your site? Ah, Francesco, you have a prisoner. A bush that yearns to be free." Exactly. 2 bushes, actually. I want them sculpted. Into hands. Giving thumbs up. Silence. Then he gasped. Magnificent, sarcastic, yet kind. She cannot fight positivity. It is malice wrapped in encouragement. I come tonight. At 11 p.m., a white van slid silently up my street. Arturo stepped out tiny. Man, white linen suit, black beret, gold-handled shears like a royal scepter. His assistants wore black and worked like commandos. Within minutes, scaffolding surrounded my bushes, lights aimed downward like a secret stage. Through the blinds, I watched him move, snipping, shaping, whispering, "No, no more curve on the knuckle." Give the thumb conviction, I drank 3 cups of coffee and stress-ate half a box of crackers. Around 3 a.m., I finally passed out on the couch. When I woke at dawn, I was terrified to look. What if it was awful? What if it looked obscene? But when I opened the blinds, I forgot how to breathe. They weren't bushes anymore. They were sculptures. 2 perfect 6-foot-tall, leafy hands, each giving a crisp, proud thumbs up detailed down to the fingernails and knuckles. They were flawlessly trimmed, symmetrical, immaculate. HOA perfection. And both pointed directly at Brenda's house. I stepped outside, coffee in hand, just as her front door burst open. Pink robe, slippers, pure rage. "What did you do?" she shrieked. "Morning, Brenda," I said calmly. "Just remediating the situation. You said they needed definition." "This is mockery," she shouted, shaking. "Mockery, Brenda. They're positive gestures. Are you against positivity? That doesn't sound very community-minded." Neighbors started coming out. Dave stood on his porch grinning. Cars slowed. Someone honked and gave me a thumbs-up back. Brenda ran inside, re-emerged with her massive HOA rule binder, flipping pages like a lawyer on meth. "I'm fining you for unauthorized sculpture," she screamed. "Show me the bylaw." "Brenda," I said, "show me where it bans topiary art, or hand gestures, or being happy." Her mouth opened, closed, nothing. She stomped away, promising lawyers. I didn't think she'd actually go that far until the police showed up. 2 officers, one young, trying not to laugh, the other older-looking, done with life. "Sir," the older one said, "we got a call about a public nuisance. Something about hostile topiary." "Hostile?" I asked. "They're giving thumbs up." Brenda marched over. "They're obscene. Targeted harassment against an HOA officer." The sergeant sighed. "Ma'am, they're bushes." "They're sarcastic," she hissed. "Sarcasm isn't illegal, ma'am, and frankly, these are very well done. Anatomically correct, too." The young officer snorted, turned it into a fake cough. They left. Brenda stood frozen, powerless. The HOA queen had just been publicly humiliated by horticulture. But she wasn't done. That night, she called an emergency HOA board meeting right in front of my house. Folding, table, megaphone, the works. "This is anarchy," she screamed. "He's undermining community standards." Neighbors gathered, Janet, Dave, even people I'd never met. They laughed. Someone shouted, "You mean the thumbs?" "We love them." Brenda's face twisted. "You're destroying property values." Janet stepped forward. "No, Brenda, you're destroying the neighborhood. You fined me for a welcome mat. You fined my kids for sidewalk chalk. Enough." Then, like a miracle, Arturo himself appeared, white suit gleaming under the streetlights. He stepped through the crowd like a prophet. "Ah, Madame President," he said grandly. "Do you come to admire my opus magistralis?" "You did this," she spat. "You shrub mutilator." He clutched his chest. "Mutilator, I am a liberator. Behold," he pointed at the thumbs. "They bloom." Everyone gasped. I hadn't noticed, but tiny red roses were opening along the leafy thumbs, covering them like defiant blood. "They're happy now," Arturo said softly. "They are free." Brenda's voice cracked. The crowd was laughing openly. Dave started clapping. Her clipboard trembled in her hands. Then she did something I'll never forget. She just folded her table, and walked away. A week later, I got another letter. Not beige, this time crisp white, from a law firm. It said, "After review, the HOA board lacks authority to fine or remove artistic topiary. All penalties are void." And that was it. Brenda's reign ended with 2 giant thumbs up. Now she walks past my house without looking, pretending the roses don't exist. But I like to think she feels them, those 2 green hands blooming red forever, wishing her a wonderful, community-minded day. Sometimes I sit on this porch with Dave watching the sunset light up the roses and think about Emily, about how her rebellion lives on. The HOA wanted uniformity. What they got was individuality carved in green and red smiling back at them. Lesson learned. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's beautifully trimmed, perfectly compliant, and impossible to erase.